Hi, this is Filiberto Amati, and we are here today for another session on our series of new technologies and NFTs. And my co-author and co-guest is Elisabetta Borgai. Welcome,
Nice to meet
Elisabetta,
you.
who's going to introduce the subject, the company, and our esteemed guest of today.
Our guest today is Mikey Charalamus, the CEO of Threedium. Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here.
Nice to
Would
meet
you
you too.
like to tell us more about your company? Because you are a visionary in the 3D space and low code. So we want to learn more about what you do.
No, fantastic. And first of all, thanks so much for getting my name right. Extra points on that. It's usually very hard. But it's a pleasure to be here. I think, it's always great to have a panel to share our story, to inspire people, and also to educate them into this new crazy world of internet and Web3 that we're navigating in. Myself, as you mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders of Threedium. I'm also the CEO and wearing my Web3 and Metaverse key strategic partnership hats lately when we onboard a lot of our brands, not just in their e-commerce enhancement play, but also as they step into the Metaverse. What Threedium is doing basically, we are looking to democratize 3D and AR commerce tools for the brands across Web 2 and across Web 3. We are basically a 2.5, a Web 2.5, if you like, portal that enables the brands to digitalize their content in 3D and AR at scale. They can also use their existing 3D and AR files to build 3D and AR commerce solutions such as 3D and AR product explorers and 3D configurators and 3D and AR ads and AR experiences through QR codes. And then our platform enables all these brands and agencies to take these solutions and distribute them seamlessly and at scale across their e-commerce channels, across their physical channels, and very recently across different metaverse worlds such as Decentraland, Sandbox, and through worlds built on Unreal Engine. We basically enable them to have a low barrier in getting into 3D, in understanding how to distribute and integrate their commercial strategies in omnichannel and across the metaverse. And as they grow with us and utilizing our engine, we help them further enhance and develop this notion of connected commerce or meta commerce, if you like, where we allow them to take their 3D assets and sell them directly to consumers and directly to avatars and bridge the gap between direct to consumers and direct to avatars. Um, it helps them a lot to embrace, understand, facilitate, and manage the whole digital aspect of their products. And this is why they showed a lot of love and a lot of trust to Threedium, because we are the ones that we have allowed them to understand the speed in which they can tap into 3D. They were using our platform to first understand how they can use this 3D and enhance their existing e-commerce channels. And because everything was working nicely, and because they were able to see a proven traction, and they had zero defects on their technological side of things, it was just much easier for them to trust us as we were taking them into this whole new Web3 journey. We are very industry agnostic. We work across multiple different industries, and we work with global tier one brands, ranging from Farfetch to LVMH Group to Diageo to Mercedes to GoDaddy. Also, we're working very closely with agencies such as McCann worldwide. So you can understand that we provide a broad spectrum of capabilities, and different brands, they're using us for anything that can be challenging for them, and they're looking into 3D to find a solution. So even though we're primarily a commerce solution, different brands from different industries, they might also use our platform to enhance their prototyping and sampling requirements. But also they might be looking to use our platform to further enhance their logistic and backend supply chain, so that they can rely less and less in the shipping of physical products between their different jurisdictions, but more about sharing 3D assets and experiences between the different teams in different jurisdictions to be able to understand and optimize their product requirements before they ship them to the market. Our most ambitious goals and audacious goals in the next couple of months with these brands is to be able to superbly automate this Web 2 to Web 3 process on our engine, mitigate any kind of manual processes for the brands, so that as they continue to grow with us, as they continue to grow their need for commercializing Web3, the engine would allow them to work at scale and would allow them to onboard even more team members without truly having to know anything about cryptocurrencies or the Web3. It's just going to be a standard workflow that they need to be utilizing the same way as they create content for their omni-channel, and the engine is going to run everything else for themselves. Very interesting points which we constantly look to evaluate is the ability to enhance and extract more meaningful data across these channels where the 3D and AR commerce solutions are being served. So what we typically say is that one image equals 1,000 words, but one 3D display equals 1,000 data points. And therefore, we are trying with all these 3D and AR solutions to be able to understand and collect precise user behavior data as to how long a user on e-commerce is interacting with the 3D assets, which elements of those assets they're zooming more or they're configuring, at which point they decide to add it to the basket or bounce. Same applies with the same kind of user behavior when it comes to AR in physical stores. And now also with the metaverse, we're looking to understand and develop data collections that can allow the brands to facilitate and generate new KPIs. So we're looking to generate data collections such as the ability to understand how long a user has been wearing their products into the metaverse, what kind of activities where they were doing whilst wearing them, and how many avatars they've crossed paths with them during different metaverse world experiences, in an attempt for the brands to be able to find a new set of influencers and ambassadors through the digital identity avatars and not just rely on physical ambassadors. And it could also be a nice way for brands to reward their users digitally based on the usage that they show and the trust that they show on their digital products. So it's a whole new world shaping up. It's a whole new world of opportunities, a whole new world of rewards and engagement and CRM capabilities. We're super early. Nobody knows exactly how these things are shaping up. But together with the brands and together with their omni-channel teams and innovation teams, we're working closely to shape up the next month, the next 6 months, and then the next 6 months after that. And we're building in short-term intervals, basically. So this is a small notion of what Threedium is, what we are doing, and how we are evolving.
It's very interesting. Thank you. I have a question for you. And before we talk about NFT and the technology, but in general, this ambassadorship role you're having towards the metaverse. I think that a lot of companies, and as an innovation consultant, I always tell them that sometimes you just need to dangle your feet in the water and see how it is before you decide whether to jump or not. But probably you should jump and learn to swim in the process, because metaphorically it's not going to kill you. But having said that, a lot of companies, traditional companies, and some of your clients as well, really don't understand what's in it for them in the metaverse. And as you're saying, it's taking form. So we're far from knowing what's in it for us and what it is and what it will be. So what are the 2-3 pieces of advice you give to companies who are curious about the metaverse and want to start doing something to understand, to learn, of course? Because
Absolutely.
ROI, it's all different question.
Look, if a brand steps into the metaverse with one of their critical KPIs being return on investment, then they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and possibly the person that is leading the project is not the suitable person to go in. There's got to be a strong element of test and learn. And what we typically say to them is like, when you have your two hands and whatever happens in this hand doesn't really influence the other one. So this is what currently is happening in this transition between traditional retail and experiences in the metaverse. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to say we're going to stop purchasing from you in real life if whatever you go and do in the metaverse is not applicable to them, not relevant to them, or in any way does not fulfill the same kind of quality of display of your products as you do in real life. What they need to understand as they go into these worlds is that they're tapping into a whole new notion of consumer behavior and a whole new demographic, which they were not able to excite in real life. So going into that space, you know that you already have a very niche audience that you need to please, and you have a very niche audience to play with. So don't expect to make millions or billions or build the most loyal customers as of yet, but you have a first time opportunity to go in there and see and test a few different things to see how people react. You can use the metaverse in this current form where we are right now as a mean of PR, because all the publications, all the publishers out there are thirsty and have a huge appetite to cover anything metaverse right now. It's such a new form of social media and social commerce that everybody just wants to see what everybody's doing and they want to listen. So it's a great PR, which also has a nice effect in real life. Secondly, it allows you for the first time to truly launch digital collections with zero restrictions as to the look and feel, as to the shape, as to what kind of elements you're going to put on them. You can go really crazy, and you should not be afraid whether they're going to sell in real life or not, or if anyone is going to judge you, because it really gives you the ability to fully flourish and embrace your creativity. You can design amazing bags with dragon wings. You can design sneakers that transform themselves based on night or day mode or whatever, or they can unleash fire. So all these things are stuff that really allows you to show your creativity, which you're otherwise not able to show in real life due to all the physical constraints. And that is something that can truly differentiate the brand, because sometimes people are truly looking to see what kind of creative momentum a brand has. And that might be an excellent way of engaging with them and loving them. The third and most important element of going into this is for the brands to be able to understand how, using this new notion of social media, of social commerce, of these crypto enthusiast consumers, they can start finding ways to embed and display their products to delight that kind of audience and start to driving some sort of revenue or at least traffic back to their real life stores. And those are critical elements because that's how you understand and learn how you need to seamlessly coexist across the different multiverses, if you like, to form this connected commerce channel from physical to digital to metaverse and vice versa. It's very important for the brands to learn the ease of blurring the lines between physical and digital. We're not saying that digital is going to overshadow everything physical, but by definition, we are seeing that a whole new notion of consumers and avatars is being bred as we speak, and every other minute new baby is being born. That probably is going to be much more acquainted and versed to own and understand what digital ownership means. Therefore, if you're not able to capture them as they grow, then by the moment that they're 30 years old and have zero interactions with your brands by digitally owning something, then it means that you're destined to be losing market share, basically.
Yeah, no,
and at
in
some
fact,
point, you're going to become irrelevant.
On that point, I completely agree. I see my children who are, digital natives, and I'm just a digital nomad. And being the mere presence in the metaverse is what gives you street credibility.
Exactly.
It's what gives you really, the kind of effect, and brings you on the radar screen of people who are otherwise you cannot reach through several different type of channels.
Exactly.
And I think that's very important because my children see, my brands as mine, but also not necessarily for them. Whereas in this way, they see actually, this brand gets it.
Exactly.
This is for us as well. So I agree with you.
Mhm.
Betty?
The interesting side is also the engagement, entertaining a certain kind of targeted consumers, especially you said, the youngest ones, but not necessarily. It depends. And also, I think that during this period, in terms of sustainability, I saw that a few brands use the metaverse and the NFTs to check effectively what was successful in terms of creativity before entering in production. And with the current situation in China, effectively is something that is good.
Yeah, I mean,
cost effective and also
look,
good.
you will be surprised, but the first industry that is going fully 3D right now is jewelry. And jewelry is going to set the provenance for everybody else. Basically, and especially after COVID, the jewelry brands and creators, they were having this, issue of sourcing in all these different stones and diamonds from India and what have you. And it was even harder for them to go into production. Not only that, a lot of their jewelries, a lot of their models are being initiated through CAD files, through rendering. Now, if these guys start, because they are already kind of familiarized with 3D, they start understanding that I can actually create my entire jewelry collection without even seeing a single diamond or using a single physical diamond, because I already know how my diamonds are, I already know how my stones are, and I can replicate them and start including them in designing my jewelries, and then selling them before physically creating them, and even ship and even utilize them for prototyping and sampling between my teams, because I can already show a very photorealistic element through 3D. Then what's the point of spending so much more money creating the samples physically before understanding?
And one even probably along those lines, you can even co-create with your final customers.
Exactly.
Tailor-made designs and and collections.
Absolutely. And then you minimize the risk of keeping inventory, you minimize all these kind of other stuff. But it goes a step further. Now I'm being a bit more futuristic. But very, very soon, and we are already seeing some testings being done and very successful testings. Once you create your 3D jewel, you can also 3D print it. So straight away, you can actually have the jewel right there in front of you without a single material being used in the process for you to find it, customize it, purchase it, wear it. So 3D printing is going to become a very interesting accelerator of this whole new notion of brands building their own new content factory ecosystems using 3D and having that as the building block for everything from supply chain all the way to direct to consumer, and actually also 3D printing it. So it's a very interesting era we live in. We are really looking to reshape everything we knew about supply chain, about product display, and about product ownership. And I think the fact that users are embracing more than ever sustainability, the ability to protect the environment, the ability to love brands that do more to save climate change, then all these are key factors that will allow the brands to accelerate all these kind of behaviors and attitudes and become more 3D associated, basically.
And in this transition between Web 2.0 and Web 3.0, how the advertising journey can integrate into all these platforms with the 3D solutions.
I'm going to borrow a nice quote that I've seen from our friends at AdMix a couple of weeks ago. Marketing is no longer going to be advertising, it's going to be experiences. So using 3D, you no longer create content that is there, it's very static. You're bound to become immune to it because it does nothing. It's really going to allow you to immerse in it and do whatever you want to do with that product. You can see it in AR, you can explore it in front of you, you can see it in 3D, and you can customize it. You might be able to go into more and more VR stuff because the brands are now going to be fully equipped with 3D assets. So they're going to be able to provide more VR experiences in real life. But ultimately, it's going to be a key component that shifts the way we discover and interact with products. And what we're going to be seeing more and more, if the brands do it right, that is that discovery, the discovery funnel, which is usually the hardest hardest element for a lot of brands to get users to spend more time on a discovery funnel with them. It's going to become much more engaging, and you're going to be seeing much more higher click-through rates from users entering the discovery funnel with the brands, all the way to placing it into the bag or even checking out. I think that is what is going to be very, very critical, and those are the kind of optimizations we're going to be seeing with this new era of embedding 3D into marketing.
On this, I have a follow-up, sorry, because
Yes.
actually a challenge, because
Absolutely.
I agree with you. But the truth of the matter, if you look at the state of the web today, and we're talking about Web 2.0, so in theory, it's about user-generated content, collaboration already, and so on and so forth. A lot of brands took what they used to do in traditional above the line, which was shout to consumers, and now they shout to consumers through digital media. Now, let's be honest. A lot of what they do is still that.
Absolutely.
So how can we educate these guys who skipped the passage from traditional media to Web 2.0 and are now Web 3 dimension, moving towards that? How can we really educate them in stop shouting to customers and consumers and start thinking about really experiences?
You do not educate, you educate them, but you leave the market educate them. In what sense? A lot of the brands are usually having this sort of herding bias, which they follow what others are doing. Very few brands have the stamina and the guts to go and test and try things. Some of these very few brands, they end up having very good consultants, very good teams that can allow them to do a lot of interesting things, which in return will set them aside as pioneers, as leaders in this new era of experiences and how to utilize, immersive technologies to allow your users to embrace your products better. Some, they might spend a fortune on immersive solutions, but because they have not thought it right, they might have had a disastrous effect, meaning that they might have spent a fortune and the results were almost, not significant. Now, depending if in the next 6 months to a year, the majority of these 3D or immersive, if you like, experiences that are going to go live are going to have good consultation, then and therefore good results in whatever form or way, then we're going to be seeing the whole market following that. If the brands end up having poor consultation or support or thoughtful understanding why they're spending so much money or whatever money to embed immersive experiences into their marketing channels, and the results are poor, we're gonna have the brand saying, okay, this is not ready yet. We're gonna delay it more. And we're gonna continue spending what we need to spend, because at the end of the day, we need to understand and put our fit into the people in these positions right now, which all they want to do is make sure that they do what is working, so that they have a peace of mind, so that their bosses are not going to fire them, and so that they continue putting bread on their family's table, right? They're not willing to go that extra mile if they're going to be stepping into this huge gray area, huge gray zone. And that's why everybody's looking to see how provenance is going to be set by other brands that have tested it, that they had more budget, that they were eager to learn, and they're going to be using that. I'm not expecting that in the next, before the end of the year, we're going to see the majority of these brands shifting into immersive marketing and immersive commerce as of yet. But the majority of the global brands that they have innovation managers and they understand where the future is going, if not already, they will be by the end of the year shifting a lot of their budgets in there. And then towards the end of next year, that's where we're going to be seeing the whole market shifting. But again, it depends on who's going to be hand-holding those brands to do that right, basically.
I assume they are waiting for best use cases, insights. You mentioned about data, so when you're able to provide some data, probably they are able to explain that these experiments are driving to a direction.
Correct. And don't get me wrong, right? Also data can be very much manipulated, right? Even
without context, data can tell you everything you want the data to tell you, basically.
Exactly. Think about it, right? We believe whatever Facebook tells us, right? We extract some data reports from Facebook. Facebook says, oh, you had a brand uplift of 7%. Congrats. Same applies with the metaverse. Like you closing unique impressions from avatars. Is that true? We don't know. All these things, regardless how decentralized we want Web3 to be, it's still a bit centralized. And we still suffer from the same stuff that we have from centralized platforms like Facebook and Google, which we just believe them, whatever they tell us. We don't really know. If we're gonna continue having this notion, fine. We don't care what the new metaverse worlds are going to provide us with data, as long as they provide us with some sort of data that is convincing enough for us to go and take back to our bosses and they believe them, and then happy days. But what we try to do with these brand experiences basically is to play more, as you mentioned, on this user-generated content, because user-generated content cannot lie. You can truly see it. You can see the impact of it. If more and more people spend time sharing, doing things, interacting through these things, which are massively, you know, traceable, because you can see how many people have collected, you can see have clicked to go somewhere, you can see how much time they've spent inside those immersive bubbles, whether they're through their desktops or mobile devices or through headsets, and then you see the reaction thereafter. You understand that definitely the impact is much higher versus seeing a static image or a video on Facebook or whatever, but everything
Yes,
is
but sorry to interrupt, but I also think that our way of measuring experiences is not there yet. We need
exactly.
to do much more thinking work on what exactly are the key components of the experience, on what we should be tracking, because tracking interaction, great word, but what does it really mean? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, that I crossed path with a guy wearing a Gucci avatar bag or whatever. Exactly what are we discussing about? And I think we as marketers and analytics need to do much more work in that direction, in defining. It's even the same story with hybrid events or
Exactly.
phygital events. What is it really that we're tracking? Because we don't know how to describe these events, so we don't know what to track.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is also why I was going back to saying that the notion of acceleration of these brand experiences and how fast other brands are going to follow is if they're going to have good consultants, good marketeers involved in the process that is really going to do it right. Otherwise, regardless of whether the best tools in the world exist, if people don't understand what they're doing, if people don't have a coherent process as to how they're going to take these brands from the hand and take them into this more experiential world, whether we call it metaverse or Web3 or just experiences in Web2, immersive experiences in Web2, we're just bound to always have all these questions because nobody knows what they need to do, basically.
And what about? I'm trying to make not comparisons, but I'm trying to understand what is going to change between what we know today, that is about monitoring also the conversation on social media regarding a community. What is going to change in this Web 3.0 platforms?
Look, the Web 3.0 platforms, I'm not entirely. I mean, I have a few theories which I don't want to influence people about. But there are two elements that are very important in terms of traceability and further understanding your audience. In Web3, the fact that everything is going to be decentralized but kept on blockchain, it means that every single activity can truly be amassed and monitored and not have a single source of data being lost. Even through the collection of NFTs, like I am putting my money to collect NFTs, right? So if you go right now into my OpenSea account and you see all the NFT collections that I've gathered, you should be able to infer some basic stuff about it. This guy has a lot of anime NFTs, so therefore he's into Japanese culture. He's into cartoons. He's into nice aesthetics. He has a lot of sports NFTs collectibles. Therefore, he also likes sports. All these things are there. They're registered in the blockchain. It's very easy to understand and being able to extract key information from that user without even knowing his name, his age, or what have you.
Yes.
And they're always traceable on the blockchain, right? You can see that. At the same time, with the incorporation of frontier technologies such as AI on 3D or AI on AR or VR, you start giving the 3D models the ability to be sentient, the ability to be able to listen and evolve. Because don't forget that 3D models are actually living organisms, right? They're not JPEGs. They can evolve. If I keep seeing that people are configuring me in red, then the next time I appear in this set of people, I can appear as a red car instead of a black car.
Yes, it's the future of merchandising, practically.
But it can happen in real time and very very fast if the correct data sets of AI is being implemented. Same can appear on how we're shaping the 3D model, because in the next 2 years, if AI is going to be a key component of reshaping the mesh, or the 3D mesh, or the model, the 3D, just by listening. If I hear, oh my God, this shoe would have been perfect if it was a high top instead of a low top, maybe it can automatically become a high top, because it's just a nice stretch, and it can happen in real time. So all these kind of things are things that we don't understand them now. They might sound a bit sci-fi, but everybody from our companies like ours and are working in the back to be able to make all these things possible. So there's such a massive opportunity and such a massive spectrum to be able to really bring real-time understanding onto what users want, what they want to see, how they want to engage with the products, and how the products can straight away shape up to meet those requirements. Because maybe you want to see the Nike shoes right now, and you're seeing them as a high top, but you want to see them as low top. And if it listens to you and automatically becomes changes its shape, then you can purchase a digital one. You can own the digital shoes straight away, and then you can convince Nike to launch it in real life as well. I don't know, but there's so many ways in which you can go. I just don't want to be super futuristic, because I don't want to derail people listening to us, because we're still not ready for that era yet, but we're navigating towards that.
What is interesting about what you say is that one of the promises of Web3 is actually privacy. But what you're mentioning is that there's going to be a lot of data mining opportunities.
but massively. It's data that you don't know who it is.
But you don't know who he is because you don't have a name and an address. But
exactly.
You know exactly who they are, from what they shop, from what they do, from what they like, from what they don't like. I mean,
as a user, you don't want that. Isn't this like the perfect thing for you, to know that the brand can know exactly what you like, so it stays relevant, but at the same time they don't know your name, and they don't know where you live, and they don't know your email.
That's not going to reduce the temptation of brands to try to promote you and shout at you something, eh?
Exactly. But anyway, what I'm saying is, it's the same kind of notion we're following now. As we now feel that we talk to Instagram, and whatever we say next couple of hours, we see that ad happening in front of us. Now, the same kind of tools and characteristics, imagine applying them in real-time 3D models, and just they change as you speak to them, and you have the ability to purchase them because they just changed. And then you can place a made-to-order based on how the 3D has listened to you.
3D remarketing, basically.
It can go so many different ways, but it's cool. We're not ready yet globally to embrace that. But I'm just sharing with you a few possibilities on the opportunities.
Very good. Mikey, thank you very much. It was great to talk to you. It was really interesting and a lot of ideas and learning for us. I wish you the best in your work, and we look forward to speaking to you in the future about the future once more.
One step at a time. But honestly, thank you so much, guys, and thank you for having the stamina to hear some crazy people talking crazy things.
We love
which
it.
Might happen or might not. But yeah, what I promise you that we are crazy people, so we're always doing some crazy stuff, and some things are going to happen, some things might stay in the sphere of fantasy. But if the brands and the marketeers have the appetite to push forward, then there's definitely a lot of tools out there that can really shape up the future. And as they want to say, you can build your own future, right? So we just make that visible to them. It's up to them how they want to utilize those tools.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Patty. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys. Bye bye.